Hello, welcome back. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Anything that I say is not meant to diagnose you or replace your medical care. Check with your doctor before applying any of this information. Steve, I'm so glad that you took my challenge last week and decided to go fast over Thanksgiving and also coming up the Christmas and other holidays too. So well done. And I really appreciate your dedication and discipline for doing that.
Thanks. In fact, 45 days in without water or food, feeling great. No, actually, listen, my son Alec and he announced that he's going to go on a fast, and I'm joining him. So we will be fasting until Monday. So after this afternoon's OMAD, I am going to go till Monday.
This is going to be awesome. You're going to love it.
Oh, yeah. Just feel like $1 million. Well, you're going to also love all the great people that we have lined up here. But I tell you what, why don't we start off with a question from YouTube. I forgot the nice person's name, but they want to know if probiotics are okay during pregnancy.
Well, I think they're essential. I think they're really okay. The better the gut health, the more your immune system, more the nutrients get absorbed. These microbes greatly help your health in so many different ways. So, I mean, if you're pregnant, that's the best time to eat healthy and make sure your gut microbiome is perfect. So yes, I highly recommend that. But the type of probiotics that you want to take you're not going to get it from yogurt. You want to do either kefir, sauerkraut, or an actual good probiotic.
Okay, fantastic. So enjoy your pregnancy. And someone that's not pregnant is Peter, who is joining us as our first guest. And let's see, I think, Peter, are you with us? It looks like you might be frozen. Are you there, sir? Okay, tell you what, we're gonna put Peter aside for just a minute till he gets over that. And let's go to Cindy from Spain, where the weather is very nice. And Cindy, if you'd unmute yourself, you're on with Dr. Berg. Cindy, can you hear us? Let's see, we'll stand by, folks. Let's try one more.
My name is Anita, though. There was a little bit of a confusion.
I'm sorry, Anita.
Dr.
It
Berg,
certainly is.
Thank you so much. No problem, no problem. I just want to show my appreciation for the beautiful educational work Dr. Berg does. And now straight to my question. Is there a possibility I am one of those rare persons for whom intermittent fasting is not the best or an option? Let me give you some background. I've been on a serious keto following all your advice for the last 3 months and a half. Mm-hmm. So the first month, weight lost 9 pounds, fantastic. Second month, the same. And then I said, I'm going to start intermittent fasting, and boom, complete plateau. Didn't lose anything else until a couple of days ago that I said, okay, enough. And I start having breakfast, and boom, another 1.5 pounds off. And I was just wondering if I may have, you mentioned possibly subclinical hypoglycemia or something like that. I'm a little bit afraid because especially in the morning, 6 a.m., I have these stomach aches. And my father died really young, 37-year-old, from a stomach cancer. So I noticed that my body, the longer hours I go without eating, is the more resistance it gets to shed the weight off. So please, can you advise me on this?
So I have a question. When you went back to having the breakfast, did you find did you lose weight right away, like within a day?
A couple of days, yes.
Okay. All right. I think what's happening, that must be fluid. That must be a fluid loss for some reason, because to lose that much actual fat in even 2 days is very difficult with food. Doesn't make sense to me. There's something else going on with this fasting. I think I would need more data to evaluate this, because when you add more meals, you should not, in theory, lose more weight. That's the thing that's very, very strange about this. But given that, I think your stomach problem, and your father having stomach cancer, one of the things that I think immediately, I think of adding more acid to the stomach, because when I used to measure the pH of the stomach in practice, people that had stomach cancer nearly always had an alkaline stomach, severely alkaline, and a history of antacids, things like that. So if you went into the direction of acidifying your stomach with either betaine hydrochloride or apple cider vinegar or things like that, I bet you that's going to help you you especially fast longer, and you're going to feel better. But maybe what you can do, I need a little bit more detail on what you ate before and after, and you can maybe send that to Dr. Berg at drberg.com, and let me look at that with all that data, because I don't think by adding a meal, it's not going to necessarily improve your metabolism. So, but somehow it worked for you. So that's awesome. But there's something missing with that. There's something, I need more data.
Okay. I'll get it to you then.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. Sounds great. Best of luck, Anita. And you got all that great food there in Spain, very sort of Mediterranean diet. I guess that's fairly close to keto, isn't it, Doc? I mean, they're a little closer than hamburger.
I think they do have a very high quality, nutrient dense foods, but I do think they may, in theory, if I'm not mistaken, they might have, I don't know, occasional bread, or maybe even a pasta, I think, in Spain.
Uh-oh.
But don't quote me. I've never been there, but I think there might be some carbs somewhere.
All right.
I don't think it's 100% keto.
Well, we love them nonetheless. And by the way, I was picking on poor Cindy, and she was trying to come on the air, so why don't we just go ahead and get her on. And Cindy is coming to us from Ohio. Cindy, you're on with Dr. Berg. Unmute yourself, dear.
Hi, Cindy. You just have to unmute yourself.
No, we don't have you. I tell you what, Cindy, I want you to work that out. There's a little icon on the screen that should do it. So we are going to go to Cobeen from the Netherlands. And Cobeen, you are, and it's dark there and so on. So she's been very patient to stay on. We're on with Dr. Berg.
I'll unmute myself.
Thank
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Hi. How are you?
Dr. Berg, good morning, and thank you so much for having me on your show. I really admire your research, and especially the selfless and tireless manner in which you share your findings with the public. So let me say, I've been on the healthy ketogenic diet and with intermittent fasting for about 3.5 months to lose the weight and hopefully decrease the increasing pains I've been having during the past 12 years in my joints and muscles. So I gradually changed from 3 meals to 1 meal, and supplementing myself to try to how do you say, balance the nutrients I need. And thanks for all your knowledge, it was going better and better. So now I'm kind of feeling really much better. I lost a lot of weight and the pain has decreased. But, and of course, there's a lot of more information to share, but now I recently had this test, a hair test or something, but also I seem to be stuck in the middle somewhere. I lost the weight, but my weight seems to favor my upper abdominal, how do you call it, area. It seems to have been stuck there. Now, in this test, there were a few things I didn't recognize, but I lack the enzyme lipase.
Lipase, okay.
Yes, lipase, and vitamin A, proanthocyanins, vitamin B3, and to a lesser extent, vitamin D, silica, creatine, melatonin, I don't know it all, niacin and nicotinic acid. And my gut biome lacked acidophilus bifidus or something. So I guess my question is, what is causing my body to lack all these things, and how can I fix this and balance it and become more healthy? And for instance, lose
Okay,
this
good.
fat. Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, you gave me a couple clues. Number one, if you have an upper roll around your abdomen or maybe an upper belly fat where it's higher up, that is classic liver, usually fatty liver, which, by the way, could diminish your ability to produce bile. And you said you're lacking the enzyme to break down lipids, lipase. So that's more of a pancreatic deficiency. So the cool thing about that is you can just take that as a supplement, lipase, and but I think you need purified bile salts. If I were you, I would take the purified bile salts with a meal, and like 2 or 3, and then I would take Tutka, which is another type.
I see.
Tutka. I would take that on an empty stomach, morning and evening. What that's going to do, that's going to greatly improve your liver. Now, of course, I want you to get on the healthy version of keto, and then you can start building up your flora, because the flora, the gut bacteria, make bile too. So now we have the gut helping you make bile, a secondary bile. We have the liver making bile. Now you'll start to absorb vitamin A, some vitamin D, because I think your problem is you might be taking or being exposed to these fat-soluble vitamins, but you're not absorbing them because, number one, you don't have lipase, and you probably don't have the bile. So I think the solution is to focus on the liver, give it more time, but take these other things to speed up the process. You may have a fatty liver. And that will give you the kind of get to the root of the issue rather than, treat every little thing individually. So do that and let us know how that helps you. Okay. Awesome.
Okay, I will. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
You're
thanks
welcome.
so much, Kobeen. We appreciate you coming on with us, and enjoy the Netherlands, where I guess it's dark right now. Dr. Berg, why don't we take time to acknowledge all the folks that are coming to us from other places. For instance, we'd like to say a good morning to all our viewers in the UK, Canada, Malaysia, Spain, Norway, Belgium, France, Lithuania, Zambia, Taiwan, Jordan, India, Germany, the Netherlands. There's the Netherlands. Good for you, Kobeen. We mentioned you there. And Pakistan, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Turkey, Greece, Sweden, Italy, Poland, Iraq, South Africa, Cameroon, Kenya, Egypt, Switzerland, Romania, Bangladesh, Grenada, Ireland, Peru, Trinidad and Tobago, Lebanon, and all across, of course, these United States and Canada, if we didn't mention them. There's a lot of folks up that way. So Thank you all for making the show such a great success, and that just stimulates Dr. Berg ever more to answer your questions and do more videos and all those great things. Speaking of social media, Basima from Facebook wants to know the best approach for thyroid and liver repair.
Well, first of all, the foods for thyroid and liver would include, with the thyroid, more trace minerals, specifically zinc, iodine, selenium, 3 of the most important ones. But most thyroid problems are usually related to the gut. So it's usually a leaky gut situation. So you want to, consume good fermented foods for maybe probiotics, and some prebiotic fibers. That would be really important. And of course, cruciferous for the liver. That's a great rejuvenating food because it's very gentle on the liver and it has a lot of the phytonutrients. And if you combine both of those things and you had a fermented cruciferous, what would you have? You would have sauerkraut, right? Cabbage. So that would be a really good food to rejuvenate you. But if we take it one step further, if you combine this thing called fasting, now we have autophagy, and that's going to recycle the old damaged tissues that you have and give you new ones. So I think the combination of both of those would be really, really good for rejuvenation.
Well, that's terrific, Doc. Listen, let's go to our first question today. And this is a true falser.
All right, true or false? Glucose is the primary source of energy for the brain. What do you guys think about that?
Okay, climb on it, folks, and let's see what that's all about. Let's see, going back to Facebook again, I can't go on keto because I start having diarrhea when I stop eating grains. Well, there's some weight loss. What do you say, Dr. Berg?
I don't think it's the stop eating grains. I think it's an adding something. You're adding something you're not used to. And it could be too many vegetables, but you just want to look at what is different about the diet. What are you eating that you normally don't eat? Isolate that and find out what that is. Is it dairy? Is it some food allergy? Is it too many greens? And then you're going to have to modify that. Change up your greens. Some people can't tolerate, I've noticed this in practice, like they can't tolerate, for some reason, they can't do 7 to 10 cups of salad per day, which is bizarre, isn't it, Steve? I mean, I think most people can do that, but if that's the case, you might have to cut it way down to maybe 2 cups, and that might handle the diarrhea because it's overwhelming the system. You don't have all the microbes. So, so watch my video on that, but I don't think it's the absence of grains. I think it's eating something that you can't digest at this point.
Wow, that's interesting. I tell you what, I have been privy to Dr. Berg eating that. It's just unbelievable. It's like a trough, and he has all this delicious salad going, and he just mows through it. It's unbelievable. I'm not sure that I could keep over that.
There's a secret. I simply take a salad cutters. I cut it down, and it cuts it way down to probably 1/4 of the size. It's easy. Just do it.
Unbelievable. Well, he's true. When he tells you he does that, I'm telling you, he does that. So I want to see if we can get Cindy going again. Cindy, would you speak to us? Let's see if we can hear you now, if you unmuted.
I think I'm
Oh,
unmuted
boy,
now.
You did it. You're on with Dr. Berg.
Oh, thank you. From Columbus, Ohio. I've had type 2 diabetes for a while. Have been on your healthy keto program for about 2 years, doing great, lost a little over 30 pounds now. But I continue to have the dawn effect, and I mean, nothing changes it. I've watched your videos, I've tried all kinds of things. I'm on metformin, I have hypothyroid, and I've done the blood sugar support, the electrolytes, D3, all kinds of great things that you have available, but nothing seems to help. Any great ideas for me?
Can you tell me how high your blood sugars get in the morning?
It ranges between 135 all the way up to 175 in the morning. Okay. And that usually starts around 6 a.m. I'm not going below 80 or 100 at night because I do monitor it with constant glucose monitoring.
Okay. So do you find before keto, what was your blood sugars?
That every day, all day. So probably in between 125 and 150 at least during the day, all day.
Okay,
And
so that was worse, but it's
beyond that.
It was worse, but now it's a little better, but we still have this dawn phenomena.
Yes.
So question, have you checked your A1C yet?
Yes, my A1C has gone from 7.2 to 6.2 in the last year.
Okay.
So we're inching down.
Got it. And you're on metformin. Are you on any other diabetic medications?
No. Other than the vitamin support that I've gotten from your program.
Okay. So if we take a look at this, here you are, you're doing this program, and you're probably not eating a lot of sugar, but your sugar is high. So we know 2 things. One is that your body's making sugar. It's making new sugar out of other things, which is interesting. But we also know that your production of insulin must be low too. It's not there because there's nothing there to push the sugar down. So your insulin must be low. Okay, so we actually need to get your pancreas now to produce more insulin. So a couple things. I think you said you're taking my blood sugar support, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
3 a day.
Okay. All right, that's good. There's two things I want you to do. One thing is in the morning, I want you to do an experiment. Right when your sugar goes high, I want you to massage underneath your left rib cage for about 2 minutes. Just really massage in there really, really good. And then recheck your blood sugars. Because I had this patient come in, her sugar was screaming high, and we did some manipulation, kind of like to her pancreas. We kind of massaged a little bit, and it came right down to normal. And I was like, what the heck is that? So that was fascinating. It just kind of, it's like taking a muscle that's not working and stimulating it. So I want you to just do that for the fun of it. I don't know if that's going to do anything, but you can try it out. The other thing is that you can obviously go for a long walk in the morning for sure to try to burn off this excess sugar. I don't think it's dangerous. I think you have a combination of insulin resistance, which you're working on, which does honestly take, if it's really severe, it does take some time, months, maybe even a couple of years. But I think the other thing that's going on is the lack of production, the beta cell on your pancreas. Your beta cell, the pancreas, needs to be rejuvenated. So how do you do that? The beta cell needs vitamin D, which you're taking, which is awesome. It needs zinc desperately, which I think you're taking some of that. You're also taking you're taking extracted pancreas from my blood sugar product, which is awesome, which is going to help you. There's a video I have, I don't know the name of it, but I list, I think, 14 different things for severe insulin resistance. And you might want to find that video out and do more of those. But, there's a couple things you can do and try to go lower in the carb and go fast longer. But I think it's just going to be a matter of time because you're doing all the different things you're supposed to. But, yes, you have insulin resistance, but now I think we need to focus on the pancreas itself to get it to produce more insulin. That's really what we need to focus on. So I'm making a mental note of this, and I'm going to do more research on that, and I will crank a video out specifically on this one topic because I think you brought up a really interesting point. How do we speed up the production of insulin when you don't have enough? I don't think it's completely burnt out because you're not a diabetic type 1, but I think this is an opportunity for another video that I'll have to create.
Wow, a Cindy video. Congratulations. That's unbelievable.
All right. Thanks for the idea, Cindy.
Yeah, that's great, Cindy. Thanks so much. And glad we got you unmuted and got your important question out there. And let's see. Let's go to our quiz question. We got some immediate answers from our astute audience. And the question is, true, false, glucose is a primary source of energy for the brain. And 75% of our respondents said false. It's ketones that primarily feed the brain. And 25% say true. What do we got, Doc?
Well, this was just to see how many of the people watching have watched my videos, and 25% probably have not seen the videos on this. And this is interesting because I thought it'd be 100%. Glucose is definitely not the primary source of energy to the brain. Your brain does not like glucose at all. In fact, it hates it. I mean, take a look at diabetes type 3, which is Alzheimer's. Take a look at dementia. Take a look at Parkinson's. What do all those have in common? They all have in common using too much glucose to the brain. And too much glucose to the brain creates a problem of insulin resistance in the blood-brain barrier. It creates severe damage to your neurons, especially certain parts of the brain that involve memory and your spatial memory, your ability to find yourself, your location in space. So when you lose that function, you start going, okay, where did I park again? Where did I put that? It's like you start losing that location. So you're dependent on something called the GPS in your car. You no longer can remember kind of different things. So a much better source is the ketones. In the presence of ketones, and your body will always take ketones over glucose any day of the week. So we don't need glucose. In fact, if you just cut out the glucose, if your body needs some, it'll make some from other materials.
Fantastic. Well, let's see. Let's go to Rilkby from YouTube, having severe stomach pain after having her gallbladder was removed 2 years ago. She's in agony, wants some help.
I'm going to do more videos on the gallbladder, but if you want to see some quick results with gallbladder pain after surgery, what you do is wherever the pain is, it's going to usually be on the right side underneath the rib cage. You just take your hand on the opposite side, on the left side, the mirror image, okay, and you start massaging it. You're going to find a point that's very, very tender on the opposite side where you had the surgery, usually by the incision, and it's going to be sore. Gently massage that. You're going to see more relief from that than anything you do. It's going to knock out the pain. I'm not going to tell you why, but just do it. It will work, and you'll be quite fascinated. But that's all you need to do right now.
All right, that's
opposite side.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Lori, my wife, she had her gallbladder removed, and I'm telling you, that started a whole litany of new problems. And I feel so guilty. She said, I want to lose a couple of pounds. And I said, well, I don't know what the gallbladder weighs. Why don't you get rid of that? And we'll be well on our way to a new figure. No, she's a beautiful woman.
Well, I think if you want to lose even more weight, you can just chop off a leg too. That might work, but It's probably not the best.
That's right. But then I have to cart her around. Anyway, so yeah, the gallbladder, I tell you what, a lot of people, I think they just, doctors insist on you rip it out. And I just think a lot of times it doesn't pay results. I mean, I guess if it's, solid stone or something, but she has not improved since getting her gallbladder removed. So I feel very sorry for her in that regard.
Okay, so anytime it says that the gallbladder is an extra organ, you don't need it. Okay, cool. But what about the stuff that's in it? Do we need bile? I'll guarantee anyone who says that you don't need the gallbladder does not know the function of bile salts. I will guarantee that. They will not know the comprehensive definition of, the functional physiology of what bile does. They don't know that it extracts vitamins, fat soluble vitamins. They don't know that it helps you break down the fats of the food and the importance of the extraction of these fats. They don't know that. And then if bile wasn't that important, why do your microbes make a secondary bile salts? These are all things that I would bring up if someone is adamant about taking out your gallbladder.
Interesting. Well, here's something really motivating. Mohammed from Facebook is only 13 years old and has lost 40 kilograms. So what's that, 80, 90 pounds on clean keto and intermittent fasting. Now I want to maintain my weight. How can I continue without losing more weight? And Doc, we often hear, how does all this stuff apply to younger citizens? And here's a young man at 13. What do you say?
I released a video on the macro maintenance. So what do you do with your macros once you maintain it? You don't increase your carbs, maybe a little bit, but don't go above 50 grams per day. And you don't start massively increasing your protein. So what are we left with, Steve? We're left with fat. That's what you want to increase on a maintenance to prevent any loss, because if you have fat in your system when you're eating, your body will go after less of your own fat. So I think this is when you can start adding more fat to the diet, MCT oil, other fats, keto bombs. I personally have to consume a lot of fat to keep my weight up. So that is the secret, Steve.
Fantastic. Well, Mohammed, we're all inspired from your fantastic. I certainly didn't have that kind of discipline when I was 13 years old. So good for you. And we wish you all the best. Okay, Dr. Berg, let's go to our next question.
All right. So if cortisol, it's an adrenal hormone, is an anti-inflammatory hormone, why would a person with high cortisol have inflammation? That is a question. Gets you thinking. What's the answer?
Okay, dig into that, folks. You're so fast at coming up with these answers. You must be watching his videos, I'll tell you. At least 75% of you, as evidence in the last one. Fanason from YouTube Would you recommend keto for a patient who has liver disease and is on medications for the heart and for diabetes? Poor Fanison. Got it coming every which way.
Absolutely, 100% positively. You need to add keto if you have all those problems: diabetes, heart disease, liver disease. Because what causes all these problems? A high carb diet. I mean, that's one way to have a fatty liver and develop all sorts of issues with the heart. So, and metabolic syndrome. So, yes, you need to be on a ketogenic diet. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, Pam, and we hear a lot of this from YouTube, what's the best way to get back onto keto after falling off?
It's to get back on keto. Rip the Band-Aid. Don't do it gradually, because think about this. If we start eating a little less carb, does that get you in keto? Not really. You're still going to crave. So you really have to just bite the bullet, rip the Band-Aid off, start fasting, cut your carbs down immediately, and then it'll be easy very fast. Keto is like an on-off thing. It's like you have to get below 50 grams. You can't do like maybe 90 grams or 80 grams and think your cravings are going to go away. You'll still have cravings. It's not necessarily this gradient type process. It's kind of like either you're in keto or you're not. So, I mean, it's something is better than nothing for sure, but it's going to be easier on yourself if you jump right back into it. And this is why I think if you're going to go off a program during a holiday, fine, just get right back on the next day. The reason why it's difficult is because you're craving, because you ate sugar the day before. So you're going to have to just not eat the sugar. So the cravings go away and it's easier.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that cupcake is, I pay a heavy, heavy price. And I haven't done that in a long time because for me, I don't know if it's just a lack of discipline, but I go off the rails then. And I go, well, you're already screwed up. And then I start feeling rotten. And of course, another cupcake kind of jacks you up for a few minutes or whatever it might be, hot fudge sundaes. And it just ruins me. It's just not worth it for me. I mean, that's not enough of a reward. And the funny thing is, a cupcake begets another one. It's not like, okay, well, I'll be completely satisfied if I have one slice of something. No, then it's over in 5 minutes and you want some more. So I just don't play that game anymore. And I'm not perfect keto, but boy, I don't hit those kind of carbs that just send me into a frenzy. It's just a tough way to go. All right,
that's great,
see.
Steve.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's look at another one. How about Jeanette? Here's interesting. Hope you can help her. Jeanette from Facebook, what would you recommend to address a heavy period?
Well, that means you're estrogen dominant and we need to lower estrogen. There's a great product called DIM. It's a concentrated cruciferous, and that helps to balance the estrogen. Also, you can do cruciferous. Also, you want to recommend not consuming any dairy because that can add more estrogen. And you definitely want to find out if you're consuming any soy protein isolates and get off that stuff fast because it can also raise your estrogen. One last thing, think about if you have a heavy period and you get cramping, especially, the uterus is a muscle. So some calcium, I recommend calcium orotate might be very beneficial to you to help cramping in the uterus. And there's one last thing that might be a little strange, but they do have a product out there. You have to search it on Amazon, which is placenta extract. I know you might say that's gross, but if you have a period and you have a problem with a heavy period or anything wrong with your period, that product, I'm not going to recommend the brand or anything like that, but that can really help you greatly. It's dramatic and it supports the uterus.
Fantastic. Okay, here we go. Question number 2. Audience was right on it. And it asks, if cortisol is an anti-inflammatory hormone of the body, sorry, I stepped on you, Doc, why would a person with high cortisol have inflammation? And our audience, 80% of our respondents say a rise in cortisol comes from high stress levels. 10% say it's because cortisol resistance, and 10% say high glucose levels are to blame. Any winners?
Okay, think about this. I mean, when you have inflammation arthritis, bursitis, tendonitis, what does the doctor give you? Prednisone, right? That's a type of cortisol. It's a synthetic cortisol. Your adrenal makes cortisol. It's an anti-inflammatory. So why is it when so many people have high cortisol, do they have inflammation? It's the same reason why people with high insulin have insulin resistance, and they have so many problems with insulin. I mean, so many issues. The same thing happens when you have high levels of any hormone, you develop a resistance, okay? So you have this receptor that's not receiving. So thereby, that hormone becomes dysfunctional. It doesn't work anymore. So with insulin resistance, you no longer have the function of insulin that well. With cortisol resistance, you no longer have the function of cortisol. So you lose the anti-inflammatory benefit. You lose the immune benefit. You lose the benefit of breaking down certain, absorption of vitamin D. So there's a lot of things that can happen. So the best thing, if you have high cortisol is, and you want to have an anti-inflammatory thing, you want to add more vitamin D, because vitamin D is not really a hormone. It's not really a vitamin. It's a hormone, and it acts just like cortisol without the side effects. So that's the background of cortisol.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I tell you what, I don't know sure the last time I recall hearing from Avocado Waterfall, as they call themselves, on YouTube, but Avocado has been doing keto for 6 weeks. He said, I suppose it's a male. My fasted triglycerides have gone from 101 to 124, HDL from 46 to 45, LDL from 159 to 175 in a matter of a month. I'm not eating too much carb. What is poor Avocado doing wrong?
Avocado is not consuming enough avocados. That's what they're doing. But I would make sure when they're doing keto, if they want to get this cholesterol a little bit better, this profile, is to increase more salads and more vegetables. That's going to help. And then add some purified bile salts. But realize this, when you actually start keto, there's another phenomenon that occurs. You're losing fat from the fat cell, and a portion of that fat is cholesterol. Cholesterol is not burned for energy. So your body has to get rid of it. And if you don't have enough bile being produced by your liver, because there's some problems with your liver because you weren't on keto for a period of time, then that cholesterol might not come out at the speed it should, in which case you add bile salts and you keep doing keto for a longer period of time until things work. But I wouldn't be too concerned. I would just go back to the healthy version of keto and do that, add more purified bile salts, and Bob's your uncle.
Wonderful. Janelle from Facebook, best advice for someone with osteopenia and adrenal fatigue.
Well, that's a big clue, because osteopenia can very easily come from high levels of cortisol, especially after menopause, and you start to lose your bone because the body's, it's like the protein part. Your body's turning this protein into fat because there's high cortisol. So I would support the adrenal with a good adrenal support. Ashwagandha is a really good one. There's many others. And watch some of my videos on the adrenal. I think that's really what you need. It's not just a matter of taking more calcium. Bone is made from a lot of minerals. It's made from protein, and that doesn't always work. So two important vitamins for osteopenia is vitamin D and vitamin K2. So don't forget those as well. And then watch my videos on osteopenia, because I have a lot of data on that.
Interesting. Okay, Doc, how about another quiz question? Here you go.
All right. Why do statins decrease testosterone as a side effect? So a lot of people are on statins. There's different names of statins. Maybe it's for high cholesterol. Why does that have a side effect of lowering your testosterone?
Interesting. Well, I tell you what, Christine has behaved herself very well in the green room, and so we're going to reward her with a chance to get on with the Dr. Berg show. Christine, you're on with Dr. Berg.
Hi, thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Berg, for everything that you do. Your knowledge is, I just can't imagine knowing all of that. The body is so complex and you know so much. We appreciate it. I've been on keto, maybe not perfect, but I've been on it for about 6 months. And, you know, I'm retired. I'm over 65, and I every year lose my hair a little bit. It's always been like I have a shed season, like much like dogs do. But this time I have been shedding my hair like unbelievably. I mean, ask my husband. It's like we have a dog in the house and we're having to clean up. And I don't know if it has anything to. It's not happened like this before. I'm concerned I'm going to have no hair in another year. I don't know if keto could be, I'm missing something in my diet, or, you know, I've never done keto before. I'm also doing intermittent fasting where I just don't eat breakfast. And, you know, I have about 12, 14 hours to between dinner and when I eat again. Although I am having like a keto coffee in the morning with just fat, you know, with butter or heavy cream in it. So I'm just wondering if I'm missing something in my diet, if it has something to do with my genetics, if I'm just getting old and I'm losing hair, or if maybe I could change something in my diet.
Anytime you have a negative symptom when you start keto, suspect that there's some deficiency going on, that maybe you don't have the reserve. You didn't have the reserve because there are certain demands of nutrients when you do keto that are not the same as on the other diet. So the key vitamins I would look at, I would enhance in your diet, are definitely the trace minerals, including the zinc, for sure. And so that's one thing. The other thing is the B vitamins, the nutritional yeast. I think I would beef up on that, no pun intended. And then the other thing that you could do in the meantime, there's two things. You're menopausal. So there's definitely a hormonal deficiency there. One natural way to get those hormones back to where they should, if it is hormonal, is to take a supplement called DHEA, and that's a precursor, and it can actually raise the level of these other hormones that you're deficient in, which definitely relate to hair loss. So those are a couple things that I would do. And then the last thing I would try, if that doesn't work, is rosemary oil, and you rub it into your scalp. It's a really good remedy for hair loss. And there's and I have a video on that. You can check out why that works, but that's another plan B if plan A doesn't work.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I've got so many other positive results with the keto diet that I want to find. It's good. I can try these because I want to keep going on it.
That's great. Awesome.
That's fantastic.
Thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much,
Okay.
Christine. And I pray that Christine doesn't end up like me. My wife walks behind me in a chair and pets my bald spot for good luck. Talk about humiliation. So I think, anyway, Christine looks like she's got a nice, beautiful, full head of hair, so I don't think that's going to be her plight anytime soon. Let's see. Do we have answers yet? No, I'm sure Terry is working on those. So why don't we go to another question, this time Neva from YouTube. Could the cause of dark pigmentation of the skin come from infections of the body's organs? Well, if it's yellow, it's the liver. But what else, Doc?
So a dark pigmentation from infections, I mean, yes, it could. But typically, if the dark pigmentation is underneath the eyes, it's a couple things. One is a severe lack of sleep over the years. Number two, the liver is not that healthy. Is it an infection? It may be, but probably it's something else. But it's one of those things where I would honestly get on healthy keto and give it more time versus trying to fix a specific symptom like that. I mean, because in order to evaluate that, I need to know your history. I need to know what you're doing. And to isolate that one variable, I would just, my pat answer is, are you doing keto? Oh, you're not? Okay, do it and just see what happens, because it just might actually turn things around for you. The other thing too is like a lot of people through the summer, I mean the winter months, because they haven't had any sun, the skin gets all funky, and so vitamin D is a very important thing that you need to have during the winter months, versus what Steve does is get one of those sun lamps and during the winter and uses that. I would just take the vitamin D, Steve, and I think you'll be good to go.
Absolutely. Well, I do sit out in the sun a little bit. We still have it here in the South. I'm just down at the borderline to palm trees and blue water, just above South Carolina. So, yeah, we still get a little sun, but I do gulp your vitamin D pills, Doc. In fact, 40,000 IUs a day. So I take 2 in the morning with my handful of pills, and then 2 before bed, based on your recommendation. So there you have it. All right, let's go to the answers for the third quiz question of the day. And Doc, why don't you read that back for us?
All right, so why do statins decrease testosterone as a side effect?
All right, well, the audience climbed right on that, and 35% of our respondents say cholesterol is a precursor of testosterone, and lowering cholesterol lowers testosterone. Another 30% say hormonal changes. 30% say synthetic statins can trigger the loss of testosterone. And finally, 5% say, statins trigger enzymes that transform testosterone. Boy, that's a bunch.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think a lot of you had it correct, in some directly, some indirectly. The point is that when you take a statin, you block an enzyme to make cholesterol. So you're no longer making any cholesterol. You're not able to use very much cholesterol. Well, guess what? Your sex hormones are dependent on that cholesterol. So now you just starved off your sex hormones, not just testosterone, but other hormones as well, like cortisol. So your testosterone, if you have no precursors, are going to crash and burn. And if you're over the age of 40 or even 50 or 60 or whatever, now we already have a decreased testosterone. Now we really shut it down. And that testosterone is crucial for not just your libido and things like that, but other things related to your muscles.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, Dr. Berg, I've been a little sluggish in moving things along. So we're going to go to Peter, but first, let's knock out question number 4, please.
All right. What's the most important hormone for controlling muscle mass?
I'd guess on that. But anyway, we'll find out. And Peter's not going to answer that because he's going to be so absorbed in asking you a question. Peter, you're on with Dr. Berg.
Right on. Nice to meet you, Dr. Berg, and thanks so much for your videos. So I don't have any persistent health issues. I got onto your videos, and I've been doing the healthy keto and intermittent fasting, and amazingly realized I had inflammation that went away. So that was kind of really fascinating to me, kind of getting healthier. And so I'm kind of on this track of fine tuning and, using your information to kind of play with that. And one thing I became aware of is that I think throughout most of my adult life, I've just after eating or in the day, burping and gas, and kind of wrote it off as well, this is how it goes. And, you have a meal and whatever. But as I've kind of listened to your information and realized that may not be so normal, and, talking with other people. So I've kind of been looking at that, and for a period of time, I'm doing your plan for about 7 months. And I, focused on a lot of the sauerkraut and probiotic, and got your probiotic, took that for a couple months, but really didn't notice any change. And then watching one of your videos on the gallbladder, you had mentioned something about belching. And then I realized my mom had her gallbladder out, and I thought maybe there's something genetic with gallbladder. And so I ordered your bile support, your gallbladder support. And I thought I'm going to experiment and take that. And so it's only been 3 or 4 days. I think I noticed a change, but I just wanted to hear you talk, or maybe, expand on, because my course of thought was digestion and probiotic and all this, not expecting, this one comment you made about belching to flag a gallbladder, maybe, not getting enough bile or something. So can you talk about that? And you know,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
early for me to tell, but I'm suspicious.
Yeah. Well, the three very specific symptoms, or four symptoms for the gallbladder, which is a gallbladder indicator, would be belching, burping, bloating, nausea. Those are the those are the four real like red flags for gallbladder. And so I didn't know the level of importance of this gallbladder until I started to use bile salts in different products. And I was like dramatically shocked to how many people responded in a positive way. So, because they don't really emphasize this when in any courses or any videos, they kind of say, yeah, it's just part of a side thing. But I find it very, very high on the list, especially with inflammation, fibromyalgia, digestion, and so many things. I mean, even your microbes make the purified bile salts. So what you should experiment with is to increase to 2 after a meal. Try that for a while, give it more time, and then also experiment to take 1 on an empty stomach just to see what that does. Because if you are deficient in bile, my product is it's not like a drug. So it's a slow, gradual improvement, building up your bile salts. So then now your body can recycle it, because a lot of people are deficient. The other thing is that if there's any type of past fatty liver involved, that could be why you have low bile in the first place. So, and also if you have a lack of microbiome, that could be why you need more bile. The other reason is that you might not have the pH in your stomach. So let's say your pH isn't between 1 and 3, it's maybe 4 or even 5. Now you don't have the acid in the stomach. That can inhibit the release of bile. So I always recommend take the bile salts or the gallbladder support for a while. And let's say you feel better, but it's not perfect. Then add some betaine hydrochloride or acidifiers for the stomach. And now you'll see it really works like a charm. So it's one of those things where you just have to play around, because we don't have a test that we can do on you to see what's really going on. But I think that if you have that specific symptom, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I was just, you'd said betaine hydrochloride. I think I read isn't that in your gallbladder?
Yes, that's why I put it in the gallbladder formula. I recently added it, so now we have pretty much everything we need in there. So it's just a matter of using it for a period of time to really let it work. So that's one thing. And then also, let's say you're on keto and you're doing a lot of heavy peanut butter or oils and things like that. Well, you might not have, also you might need to cut down a little bit on that, because it's a combination of like, how long have you been deficient in bile? What's going on in your history? Do you have a genetic weakness that you have to strengthen it? There's just a lot of factors that you have to kind of figure out. And so unfortunately,
like 3 years ago, I did, my A1C was, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, 3 years ago, I did, like my A1C was a little bit higher, the one blood test. So I did manage to get that, like, it was creeping up on a pre-diabetic direction, but I did manage to get that to go away before doing keto and following. But that you had mentioned maybe a precursor of fatty liver or something like that.
Yes. Even if you were thin, you can be thin on the outside but fat on the inside, very common. But yeah, so that's probably history of fatty liver could have inhibited your bile. That's my guess, but we won't know until you go through it and really test it out. But I think that would be the smartest thing right now, that what you're doing.
Okay, and so just to finish on that, then the next question I have is, so the gallbladder support, is that something you like live on it for the rest of your life? Like, no. Or is that? Oh.
You take it for a few months, see how you do, and then maybe not take it and see how you do, and you might find that you just replenish what you need. But I will say that because it's not a drug, it takes longer to build up, and so it could take months before it builds up. The other thing that you could do to speed things up is to do some manual type massage on your gallbladder and your pancreas. And I've done a video on that. It's called gallbladder flushing. I'm telling you, I used to have to do that a lot. I don't have to do it anymore, but my main problem was the gallbladder years ago, and I didn't have a clue of what to do about it. And so because I had that problem, I figured out different things you can do that speed things up, and you'll really benefit if you add the manual type work as well as the supplement.
Awesome. Going to do it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
That's
Peter.
great. Peter from California, thank you so much. And by the way, we are going to go to our final participant online, Portia. But before that, why don't we get to our quiz question here, the latest one. And Doc, why don't you regurgitate that for the audience?
Okay, so what increases growth hormone? Wait, I think we had a question before that, did we not?
Oh dear, you know, I may have,
Yeah.
you know what, I may have dumped that. No, let's see, question 4. Anyway, which one was
The
that?
question was, what hormone influences your muscles more than any other hormone?
Well, let's see. Let me read
That
the
was the
answer and
question.
see if we can sort this out. 100%, they gambled it all, say testosterone or growth hormone are affected. Does that make sense?
Okay, so the answer is testosterone. Yes, testosterone deficiency. Well, testosterone as a hormone is a major regulator of muscle mass. Okay, so if you want to build muscle, you need to increase your testosterone. You can't do it without increasing testosterone. And if you're on a statin, good luck. You're not going to be able to build muscle. In fact, you probably lose muscle. You start getting atrophy, and then you get and also you lose the function of cortisol, which is the anti-inflammatory. So now we have inflamed joints, we have lack of muscle, and here you are trying to figure this out, and it's the medication that's doing all the problem. And then you try stretching, and you try this, and you try omega-3 fatty acids, and nothing works. Fish oils, and you're stuck. So always look at the side effects of medication if you're on medication as the culprit, as the elephant in the room.
Interesting. Well, I tell you what, we've had a little trouble with Portia's signal, so there's a little latency there, but let's give it a shot. Portia, you're on with Dr. Berg, and please ask your one question.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show this morning, Dr. Berg. My now 8-year-old daughter, Camille, was diagnosed a couple years ago with a brain tumor. She completed radiation treatment, and now she has developed a condition called hypothalamic obesity. And now she has, she's gained 64 pounds within 1 year after completing the radiation. She has insulin resistance, she has hypothyroidism, and now she's a pre-diabetic. She has, it seems like her metabolism is really slow, so she continues to gain weight despite a low carb diet and, a strict exercise routine. She continues to gain weight.
Yeah. So unfortunately,
you ever heard of this condition
Yes.
before? Hypothalamic obesity.
The problem is the treatment. This kind of really messed up the hypothalamus, which is the master control. That's the master controller of all these different systems. So now, what does she do? She's doing keto, low carb, which is great, but the master controller needs some support. There's a product that I'm not affiliated with. It's from another company called Standard Process. It's called Hypothalamus PMG. Hypothalamus PMG. Okay, you need to find that on Amazon or whoever sells it. If you can't find it, call Standard Process and find a local practitioner in your area that can recommend it directly. But you need Hypothalamus PMG, and you have her take one before bed for at least 6 months. So I think one bottle will last you 3 months. So do that. And I think that would be your best bet, because we need to support the hypothalamus directly. And this would actually, I think, be the best bet in addition to the other things she's doing. All right.
Okay, there was such a terrible delay there that we couldn't hear her. But anyway, Portia, that's just heartbreaking. Someone that's working so hard and doing all the right things, and because of something they can't control, ends up gaining weight. I'm just a bad boy, and that's the reason I pay for it. But boy, if I had some condition like that and I was still trying hard, that is heartbreaking. So I hope that Dr. Berg's recommendation will lead you to recovery. Now, internationally, something that's going to lead to a lot of recovery is the ability to buy Dr. Berg's various products in all these various places listed therein. Dr. Berg, do you want to talk about the advances in your being able to sell your products internationally?
People are always asking, where can I get it in Europe? Where can I get it in Asia? Where can I get it from Russia? It's now we're there. So if you want to, Steve, put those links in the description. If you out of the United States, check it out. It's going to save you on shipping.
Wonderful. Well, always remember, folks, go to Dr.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, Steve, isn't it Black Friday today? So
oh my goodness!
If you haven't been to my shopping cart, go there. There's a huge sale. You can get a discount and get healthy at the same time.
Oh my God!
Check it out.
Black Friday at Dr. Berg's shop. That's fantastic. And Dr. Berg, something that they can all get, regardless of where they live, is your fabulous videos. And why don't you talk about what's coming up?
I have some really interesting videos. The 16 biggest keto mistakes that will make you fat if you make those mistakes. The real reason to drink lemon water, which actually I should have put reasons. It's actually quite important. Intermittent fasting for extreme weight loss. We're going to do a video on that. And then how to burn very fast belly fat. Okay, so how to burn your belly fat in a very extreme fast way. And so I have some good organized information for you that's practical and that's effective based on a lot of experience. So stay tuned for those videos. And also, I hope you guys are getting back on track from the holiday. So don't wait until New Year's. Thank you for all your attention and your wonderful comments. Stay tuned for next week.